American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all
Hey, Timeheads. Joe here from American Timelines. I'm just going to take this moment to apologize about this episode. We had some technical difficulties. I didn't realize it till after we recorded the whole episode. We were recording with Zencastr, and sometimes it's great and it works wonderfully. This time, I must have messed up a setting, and it wasn't using the microphones that we had plugged in. It was just using the computer, the laptop microphone built in the laptop, which was sitting like a foot and a half away from Amy and I. So our audio sounds terrible, but our guests this week, Ryan and Chris from the Music Video Podcast, sounded wonderful. So it kind of just sounded like we were their call-in guests this week. So again, I apologize. I can't believe I made that mistake. You'd think after 150 some episodes, I'd be better at this. But I was new to Zencastr. I really thought I had it figured out. I did another podcast like the next day, and it came out perfect. So just a stupid mistake on my part. So it sounds terrible, and I apologize. I know it's not the quality you've come to expect from American Timelines by History for Jerks, but please accept my apology. Please still give it a listen because Ryan and Chris are great. They're going to tell you about Wayne Gacy owning a KFC franchise, and Amy's going to talk about the Flatwoods Monster, which is really cool. And we got some other stuff about Charlie Chaplan, some other things here that are interesting, I think. So, again, sorry about that. And without further ado, here is our kind of messed up episode. I fixed it as best as I could, but it doesn't sound great. And we know that. So, sorry.
Welcome to another episode of
American Timelines!
I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
Yeah, that's who we are, and she is correct.
All right, and today we have returning guests.
This is the first time we've ever brought guests back.
Yes.
Because we just started this whole guest thing.
Okay.
And these are guests, these were our very first guests. I mean, not counting all of the,
All right.
dumb, crappy, fake guests.
Please welcome back Ryan and Chris from the Music Video Podcast.
The Music Video Podcast.
Hello. Hi there.
Hi, guys.
I think a returning guest is technically an all-star.
Yeah,
It is
you're
an
right.
Yeah, I
all-star.
do
You-
believe that we're entitled to have like a jersey hung up somewhere.
We should. Well, we've got other ones.
Should
so
we-
I think you guys are
Should
now
we have
officially,
that kind of a ceremony?
you're friends of the show now. Friends of the
Yeah.
show.
Wow.
Friends of the show.
I've never made a friend before.
Yeah.
I feel so glad.
So, how's it going? What have you guys been talking about on the music video?
Coming up is Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott is our 50th episode. I don't know when this comes out, but that we're releasing that tomorrow from today, which is
Oh,
the
okay.
actual day. But whenever
Ooh.
this comes out, it will probably already be out.
That's right.
And I think that's somebody that people probably would have expected us to do just right out the
Yeah,
gate.
we wanted it's no disrespect to Missy Elliott. We wanted to hold her off for an occasion.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Awesome.
It's
And
your
it was-
flippin' dippin' dap derp.
All right. We don't need
It's your flippin'
Missy
dippin'
Elliott
dap derp.
impersonation.
Sorry. Did you guys know
That sounds just. Is Missy here?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my gosh!
the
Are
girl?
we getting
You guys know who
Missy Elliott brought out?
Allison Stoner is, the dancer in one of their videos?
Yeah.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Her, I went to high school with her cousin.
Awesome.
So
You should have been on. You should have been on that episode.
I should have been on there.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
a connection like that,
Yeah.
Really?
you should
Wow.
never have to work a day
Yeah,
in your
Matt
life.
Kalmbach. Matt
I can't
Kalmbach.
believe that.
Matt
I never
Kalmbach is
knew
her.
that.
He was a good friend of mine. Like I keep in touch with him.
All right.
Matt Kalmbach. Matt,
All right.
Linda, and
Moving
Fritz.
on.
Yeah.
Is
They're
he
cousins.
also a dancer?
No, he's not. He's a bald guy that works at a
Well, bald guys
at a
can
gas
dance.
plant. He makes peppers in his yard.
Okay.
Matt Kalmbach. But he's kind of, if he's listening, he's kind of a prick.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. He's a
Okay.
nice guy.
All right. So,
Wow,
His
making
dad's
enemies.
name is Fritz. All right. So anyway, yeah. Well, that's cool. Listen to that. Rate, review, and subscribe to the music video podcast with Ryan and Chris.
And actually, we are only, unfortunately, at this time, we're actually only accepting 5-star reviews. So if
Yeah.
you are going to rate us and you
Yeah.
would like to leave less than a 5-star review, just hold off. We'll let you know when we open it up to other reviews. But for now, only 5 stars, please.
Yeah, I wish we could accept a 4. I wish we could. Sorry.
You know, as the world's opening back up, as we move into phase
Yeah.
5,
you gotta be strict.
we'll let you know. But
Mhm.
for
Have
now,
you
5
guys-
stars only. Thanks.
Have you guys got anything lower than a 5?
Not relevant.
We got a 1. We got a 1 once.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Ryan just joined TikTok, and he's been getting much less than 5-star reviews there, which delight me to no end.
I put a video on TikTok, and Chris texted me, "Why are people being so mean to you?"
Bullying is back, and it's
No.
on TikTok, baby. The teens, they don't like it.
At
My
least
first
they're
comment on
reacting.
TikTok. My first comment on TikTok was, "We don't care."
That reminds me, a few years ago, I put old videos that I did in high school. Like I was practicing editing
Oh,
them,
it's so ridiculous.
and I posted them on YouTube. And one of the first comments was just "fuck you." Another one was "I hate you." And-
I do like that we've come full circle on cyberbullying.
Yeah.
It was a problem, and now it's not.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
Well, we're going to jump right in now to the timeline. We're going to get back to the timeline. We are in the 50s. We are in
1952.
1952,
September.
September. So, did we have them in 1950? That must have been 1950. So, yeah. So we now have evolved our guests since we've had these guys. We now force them to do research and tell a story. So I've assigned Ryan and Chris something in 1952 in September. That's where we are. And so when we get to that moment, we're going to let Ryan and Chris just take it away. But before that, Ryan and Chris, feel free to interject anything at any time. Snide comments, insults, anecdotes, amusing stories, anything. Just panicked screams, that's fine.
I'll try to
Should I ask for permission first?
No, just
Should I talk now?
no, just launch into it. You know,
Okay, would you like me to respond to that?
yes, pleasurable moans.
Can I just give you a bunch right off the bat, and you can edit these in as you feel free?
Yeah. Why don't you just react? Yeah,
Oh my
react.
god, that's insane.
Really?
No, really? What?
He ended up being racist.
You can insert that one pretty much anywhere.
I think you can insert that one,
yeah.
maybe with the story we're telling.
Yeah, I think you can.
Oh
It's
no!
in 1952. Probably.
Oh man, I'm disappointed because we'll get into that because I'm excited about what they're going to share because I know nothing about that guy, but he fascinates me. The only thing I know about that guy is that he was on
Little House on the Prairie because it's something
You told us
read
that last
up.
week.
I told you last
2
week,
weeks
and
ago.
nobody believed me until I said, we got to look it up, and it was true.
I think this was a couple weeks ago. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Just hold your horses, Amy. Put your boob back in your bra.
All right.
We're jumping into September. September 2nd was a Tuesday. That's the
Okay.
first thing I have. I don't have nothing happened on the 1st at all. Everyone was just in suspended animation. Nobody spoke or existed. But on Tuesday, September 2nd, Floyd John Lewis performed the first successful open heart operation, closing an atrial septal defect in a 5-year-old girl on September 2nd, 1952.
The first open heart surgery.
The first open heart surgery. And doesn't that seem early for an open heart surgery? Like, if you had told me, like,
seemed
hey,
way
you have to
late.
time travel to 1952 and have open heart surgery, I'd be like, no
I think
thanks.
it seems late.
Seems
Yeah, I was
late.
gonna say it seems like they should have done the first open heart surgery in like the Civil War.
Yeah, like
Well, they couldn't. They didn't know how to keep somebody alive to open their heart.
Yeah,
so
but I
what-
still think they would have tried it.
Do you know what they did to keep them alive? Which I had no
No.
idea this was a thing.
Oh, I don't know.
They induce hypothermia.
really.
Yeah, they use hypothermia, just like you hear about Walt Disney's Frozen and stuff like that, and then they bring you back later. They froze people, and they did something called inflow occlusion, which stops the flow of blood into the heart, and they freeze you, and they open your heart up so you're actually dead while they're doing the heart surgery.
Wow.
So Floyd John Lewis was best friends with C. Walton Lillehei, and they worked together at the University of Minnesota, and they did this together.
I like that they had a friend.
Yeah, best friends
Nice.
did a heart surgery.
It's a good application for a buddy comedy.
It's always good.
What year did we start doing X-rays?
That's a good question.
Well,
Earlier? So
Yeah,
I feel like
think
heart
so.
surgery, that's what you're waiting on, is to be able to see the heart.
when was the first X-ray?
Well, the radium
could-
was invented early.
1895 was
Yeah.
the first X-ray. How's that?
All right.
Okay.
Wilhelm Röntgen, professor of physics in Würzburg, Bavaria, discovered X-rays in 1895, accidentally, while testing whether cathode rays could pass through glass.
That's
Accidentally
pretty
figured it out.
awesome. Can you imagine that? Like, he accidentally puts his hand in front. He's like,
Oh,
holy
shit.
shit, I can see the bones.
Oh,
And he puts his wiener in front of
yeah,
it.
you know the first thing he did was put his wiener in front of it.
Absolutely.
Every time I'm
And
getting
he-
an X-ray, or I'm near an X-ray machine, or near a hospital, I stop in and put my wiener under the thing just to see.
Big copy machines.
Yeah, I have a friend who is an X-ray technician, and he said there's a good percentage of the X-rays he has to do that's on people's rumps because people have stuff stuck in their ass.
Oh yeah, I see. There's always like a year-end collection from places on the internet of like things that people found,
In their
In their
butts.
orifices.
like the weirdest things from this hospital that people stuck up their butt.
Well, it's funny because our friend group has we sort of tease him because once he told us that, we never thought that. We thought he was always just doing bones. Once he told us that, now we tease him. It's like we just now have reduced his job just to getting things out of people's butts, which is
Extractions,
not what he
yeah.
does. But he did say most of the things in people's butts is drugs. Like people shove drugs up
Oh,
Mules.
all the time.
like in the movie Traffic, starring
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
It really is very
People are-
prevalent.
People are sneaking snacks into the movie theater.
Yeah.
I don't
Up
think
their
you need
ass.
to try that hard
That-
to sneak a snack into a movie theater. I have just walked right in.
Yeah, that's the thing. You shove it up your ass, and then you get into the theater, and you have this procedure to get it out of your ass and make it not
Right.
smell, and then eat it. And then the guy next to you is like, "Hey, they don't really police that. You could have just walked in with it. They don't really care." Yeah,
I think the amount of effort you need to put into sneaking snacks into a movie theater is like just cross off the name of the fast food restaurant on the bag. If you
Yeah,
wanted to
pretty
bring
much.
in McDonald's, just like put some tape over it.
you don't need to. Yeah. Anyway, Floyd John Lewis was born in 1916, and he died in 1993. And then on September 8th, we have another big deal thing. We'll see if any of you guys have any visceral reactions to this.
Okay.
Ernest Hemingway's novel, The Old Man and the Sea, was published.
And what's that about?
Do you guys remember this at all from school?
I have not read a lot of the novels that I said I read.
I have read The Old Man and the Sea. It's one of the ones that I read.
Um,
I did not read most of the books I was supposed to read in school. I did read a lot of the Spark Notes, which were honestly much more helpful because they give you the like themes
you
and
like a
like
heads
things
up,
to
yeah.
Did you call it
read
Spark,
about.
Spark Notes?
Is it Sparks Notes?
We call it Cliff's Notes.
Well, there's
Oh,
two
there's two
different.
brands.
There's two brands.
Oh, there
There's
is?
Cliff's. Yeah, because there's Cliff and there's Spark, and Spark Notes are better than Cliff's Notes
Whoa.
Oh.
because Cliff's Notes are literally just like a summary of. At least I don't know. Maybe this isn't true for high schoolers today. Maybe they're all online and then your
Everything's
phone.
on the internet, probably.
I don't
now.
know. But in my experience, Spark Notes were more helpful because you could read through like they would tell you what the themes were and what the like subjects meant and like
Oh.
what all the metaphors were so that when they ask you those things in class you could just say them and then sound really smart,
Yeah.
which is how I got into smart people classes. But I was just reading Spark Notes. It was all
I think Spark Notes are also a little more like a companion to what you're reading.
Yes.
Sure.
Like if I was reading a difficult book now, I could get a Spark Notes to be like, oh, I get this.
Yeah.
And It's like a book. It's like a book club.
Most of that probably lives just on
conversation.
Wikipedia now, right?
But Cliff Notes was like, here's the questions that'll be on a test. It was more,
Yeah.
more like,
Yeah.
students.
It was more like in chapter 1, he gets on a boat.
right. He's an old man.
And the boat is
he's-
on
and he's
the
this
sea.
way.
Well, it's interesting because I do remember this now. Like, I didn't when I first read it, but when I started researching it. Do you remember it?
I never read this.
I think it's interesting, and I kind of want to, I want to read. I don't have enough time in the day to do everything I
It's
want
such
to do.
bullshit. You choose to do
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
And play video games.
I think The Old Man and the Sea is short, right?
It is very
Yeah, it's a
short.
short novel.
And it's like in like very short sentences, which is why I read it because it's really easy to read.
And there's not a lot. I mean, it's one of those deals where it's like, it's like one of those, fuck, like, you know those movies where like they go through all this and then nothing. So it was the last major work of fiction written by Hemingway that was published during his lifetime. It's one of his most famous works. It tells the story of Santiago, an aging Cuban fisherman who struggles with a giant marlin far out in the Gulf Stream on the coast of Cuba. In 1953, it won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and was cited by the Nobel Committee as contributing to their awarding of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1954. So, but it was like, it's this whole thing where he gets this giant marlin, like it's unbelievably huge, and while he's trying to catch it, it's just days and days and days, like he's got it hooked, and he's like talking to it, having conversations, and it's like sort of, they form this relationship. They're like trying to do this thing, but by the time he's got control of it and it's caught, he's way out to sea. He's got to find his way back, and then sharks come, and he's got to kill all the sharks, and the sharks all eat the marlin. By the time he gets back, spoiler alert, it's all just bones, and you know he's had to kill all these sharks, and it's just worthless. But he's been through all these adventures.
Sounds like an adventure.
Yeah, but then it's like,
It's really
then everybody
boring.
measures it, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is the biggest fish that's ever existed." But he was, before it got eaten, he was like, "This is gonna feed so many people. It's gonna save so many lives. I'm gonna be a hero." And then instead, he was just an old man.
So what's the moral of that story?
You know
It
what?
all goes to shit in the end.
Yeah,
That's what it
you
is.
work your ass off all the time to do something great, and you're just a piece of shit like everybody else.
Don't you think that's what Hemingway was going to
I think the point was, don't try. Just sit on your couch and play Civilization 6 all day instead
Yeah, I
of doing
think
anything.
instead of reading Hemingway, you should watch the television show Bunheads.
What's that?
Just
What's
like do
Bunheads?
something better with your life. I never saw it, but it's a show. It's like a dance show on like the CW.
And
WB network.
I can picture it. I can picture
Teen
exactly
Nick.
what it is.
Yeah, it came out over 50 years later.
It did. But all I'm saying is like media's only gotten better since then.
Have you guys been watching the Floor is Lava show?
I think we watched an episode of it one time.
I never watched
I do
it.
think that we
I remember
watched
talking
it
about
once,
it.
but I
Yeah.
don't remember
I've never.
why.
What I'm excited about is there's this like ultimate slip and slide
Yeah, I was
show.
going to say read all you can about this.
Oh no, really?
It was supposed to come out this summer, and there was an outbreak of like contagious, like viral diarrhea on
brain
the
eating
set.
amoebas.
And
Yeah,
it didn't just like
Why
stop
would
filming for the day; they just canceled the show.
It's from Jardia.
They canceled
which
the
is
whole
what
show?
They test our dog
Yeah.
for it.
They just,
So,
like,
and
are
it's
you
like a
saying
big
that
deal.
did they not discover it until somebody was on the slip and slide? And
Apparently everybody on set just had violent diarrhea. For like
so
3
there's no
days.
like trail of diarrhea
Why does
on a
it have
slip
to
and
always
slide.
go?
See, I think that's the visual that we're meant to get from the articles, but I don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah.
I want to believe that that's true.
I really think it's that people were probably not coming in. They're like, I cannot
Yeah.
slip and
Go
slide today, you
swimming.
guys.
I'm
Got
on the
diarrhea.
slip and slide of my
Yeah.
own.
Like what caliber of person is going to go? I'm going to go swimming in a public pool. I have really explosive diarrhea.
Well,
I think
yeah.
if I've learned anything from the last year of my life, it is that people do not care.
That's true.
If they
That's
want to go
right.
swimming, they will not let something as silly as explosive diarrhea stop
Man.
them.
You're
They're
right.
gonna go.
You're right.
I mean,
They're here to have fun.
I would
Their
just
summer
bet.
too.
I would just
Freedom.
bet that you could YouTube search or Google search diarrhea slip and slide.
I'm
and there will be
positive you
something.
can because I've seen it. Yes.
You've seen it? You've seen diarrhea slip and slide?
Well, like water slides is a big thing if
For
you
diarrhea.
get if something goes in the wrong place. If you're going too fast
Yeah,
and
it
the
goes
water
right up
is
the
also
butthole.
going fast.
Yeah, I know a gal who on her honeymoon was, she was on her menses and she went down a
Jesus.
water slide. And
Joe.
long story short, her husband had to like reach up there to
Joe.
get the tampon. Yeah, so anyway.
God.
That's, no, what? What? This is a podcast about history.
How
All
is
right.
that historical?
That, it happened.
He wanted to prevent
That's just
it,
somebody
but
that
it's
you
not
know.
historical.
But it's a thing that happened, and it's awful.
No, all right. We'll move
But
on.
if we don't talk about it, we could prevent somebody from getting it.
I don't
Is it
think
my
you
turn?
can.
I'm here to help
I
you.
think it's-
Yeah, Friday, September 12th. That brings us to Friday, September 12th, and Amy has an awesome, scary story to tell us about that does not involve rape.
No rape.
No rape. This is a rape-free episode.
Rape free.
Well, unless Colonel Sanders raped somebody later.
Although John Wayne Gacy was the general manager of Colonel Sanders.
Spoiler.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Oh, shoot,
Oh,
shoot, shoot, shoot. Darn.
oh, we
Darn.
gotta cut
you
it
were hoping
out.
to dazzle me, weren't you?
He was?
You
Wait
was
a
hoping
minute.
to dazzle me with
Okay,
that fact,
I'll
but
cut this
I'll
out.
pretend like I don't know. How about
Damn
that? When
it.
we get to that part, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know.
Fuck! Shit, you ruined their lives.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna tell the story of the Flatwoods Monster.
The Flatwoods Monster. Ooh.
And most of this is Wikipedia, and then I got a chunk from History.com.
A chunk?
So the Flatwoods Monster, who's also known as the Braxton County Monster,
The Braxton
or
County.
the Phantom of Flatwoods, and this is in West Virginia.
Braxton County, West Virginia?
Yes.
Okay.
So he is an entity reported to have been sighted in the town of Flatwoods in Braxton County, West Virginia, on September 12th, 1952, following the appearance of a bright light crossing the night sky.
Whoa.
Over 50 years later, investigators concluded that the light was a meteor, and the creature was a barn owl perched in a tree, with shadow making it appear to be a large humanoid.
Wait, it's concluded that it's a barn owl?
That's just what investigators concluded. So let's look
Fuck
at
investigators. They don't know shit.
let's hear what happened.
I apologize.
So at 7:15 p.m., September 12th.
7:15 p.m. September 12th. Same day that insert thing here that I didn't research.
All right, two brothers, Edward and Fred May, and their friend Tommy Heyer, said they saw a bright object cross the sky and land on the property of local farmer G. Bailey Fisher.
Okay.
So they went to the home of Kathleen May, where they told their story, right? Then she goes, and some more kids come along. So then now they're accompanied by local children Neil Nunley and Ronnie Shaver.
Wait, Ronnie Shaver and Neil Nunley were both there?
Yeah. And West Virginia National Guardsman Eugene Lemon
Eugene Lemon, y'all.
went to the Fisher farm in an effort to locate whatever it was the boys said they had seen. So they reached...
Let me just say, this is an all-star cast of people.
Right. They reached the top of the hill, where Nunley said they saw a pulsing red light.
Okay.
Lemon said he aimed his flashlight in that direction, and for a minute he saw a tall, man-like figure with a round, red face surrounded by a pointy, hood-like shape.
Oh, pointy hood-like shape. You guys can look this up online, too.
Well, hold on, I'll get to it.
Okay,
I'll get to it. So,
it's scary.
descriptions are varied. There was an article for Fate magazine.
Fate magazine?
UFO writer Gary Barker described the figure as approximately 10 feet tall, with a round, blood-red face, a large pointed hood-like shape around the face, eyes like shape which emitted greenish-orange light, and a dark black or green body.
Wow.
Then the mom, Kathleen May, she said that he had small claw-like hands and clothing like folds, and a head that resembled the ace of spades.
Oh, man, that's weird.
According to the story, when the figure made a hissing sound and started to glide toward the group, Lemon screamed and dropped his flashlight, causing the group to run away. And they also said they smelled a pungent mist. And some later said they were nauseated.
Really? Pungent Mist?
Yeah. So the local sheriff...
That's the name of my band.
Yep. The local sheriff and a
Bunch of
deputy
mist.
had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster, but saw, heard, and smelled nothing. According to Barker's account, the next day, A. Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to discover skid marks in the field and an odd gummy deposit, which sounds like Joe was there.
Wait a minute. Why does skid marks and an odd gummy deposit?
Yeah.
So are you saying are you saying that
All right.
I got a lot of skid marks in my underwear and I like, are you talking about jizz?
No, never mind.
So gummy.
They were subsequently attributed by.
This isn't a thing we ever hear
It's
about.
like when a detective picks up some dirt off the ground and does a little
like that and then
one of
tastes
those.
it usually.
Yeah, just a little
like
hey, you might come take a look at this.
When a detective, he pulls his pipe out of his mouth real slow, and then he tilts his cap backwards around. But
That's
it's
right.
actually the other way already because he's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
That's right. So newspaper stories were carried throughout the country. Radio broadcasts were carried on large networks, and hundreds of phone calls were received from all parts of the country.
See, those are the things that make me believe these things. It's like, if it's just one set of weird rednecks in West Virginia, no offense, West Virginians, then it's like, that's a thing. But when they say all these other people saw something all over the country,
well,
that for me is always like, this is real. There's UFOs.
They had a minister from Brooklyn who came to question the family, the May family.
Why?
To see if they were telling the truth, I guess.
Minister?
I don't know. A Pittsburgh paper sent a special reporter. UFO and writers like Gray Barker and Ivan T. Sanderson arrived to investigate. And so,
Ivan T. Sanderson. Yeah.
So basically, as I said at the beginning, the skeptics that report about it say that it was an aircraft navigation or a hazard beacon. That was the pulsating red light. And that the creature described by witnesses closely resembled an owl.
Yeah, owls are creepy. I'll give them that.
Well, and he said the witnesses' perceptions were distorted by their heightened state of anxiety. And his conclusions are shared by a number of other investigators. But anyway, the town... Hold on, I'm going to skip some of this.
Okay.
The town has... it's only got 300 people in this town. So it's a tiny place.
A little tiny town.
But they've got a visitor... on their visitors bureau, there's the big statue of the monster. And you can get T-shirts with the monster.
Still? It's called the
Flatwoods Monster. And then there's also the town of Sutton has a museum dedicated to the monster legend. And offers other merchandise that you can buy.
Our son Henry said this monster is in a video game they play. It's like,
and they have a festival.
Fallout or something.
They have a festival every year, Flatwood Days. And Flatwood Monster there. And then this part I got from History.com, and I thought this was interesting because this kind of talks about the time when this happened.
All right.
So, Americans were truly frightened in 1952. They were made anxious by atomic bombs and what seemed like a new world made by mad scientists. Even Life magazine, probably the most popular publication in the nation at the time, had just a few months earlier published a seemingly credible trend story about flying saucers. Spook stories sprout best when the seed lands in a bed fertile with anxiety, and that was 1952 Cold War America. A hothouse of anger, disillusionment, and anxieties, made to order for conspiracy theorists, political demagogues, and tellers of suspenseful tales.
Sounds like now.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, now is the same way with all these, aliens we're talking about now with the...
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this whole thing, but basically the Navy's saying, these are UFOs. We don't know what the fuck these things are. There's aliens, and there's going to be a report.
There's definitely aliens.
There's definitely, yeah. This story reminds me a little bit of the Mothman, which I'm sure that you've read about before.
Yeah.
It seems like the creature sounds like the same thing, the red eyes and everything. I agree with you.
It's also did you watch any of the new version of Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes.
We did watch those.
Yeah.
Did we watch
There was one really good one that was all these people in this tiny town. It had 200 people or something, and there was multiple people with the exact same a UFO abduction story.
Yeah.
and they didn't meet until they were adults. They all kept it a secret, and
Ah.
then they were like, "Wait, that's what happened to me," and they
Oh
all
my
tell the
God.
exact same story. It's really creepy and sad and good.
Yeah.
It's like
It's actually
it reminds
good.
me of that too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like a good story, but the people
Yeah.
were very
Yeah.
like they had sort of like
yeah.
trauma from it.
There's no doubt in
think-
my mind.
I think aliens are definitely real, and they're either much smarter than us or much dumber than us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel
Like-
like it's like they're already like they've been monitoring us forever, and like I keep thinking like the Tic Tac that they found now, that green like pyramid thing that the Air Force found. I feel like it's like a video game, and like that's the cursor, like it's like Sims, and that's the little like cursor thing where they
That'd be
control us
fun.
with, you know,
That'd
like
be
yeah,
fun.
It would be.
I feel like if they're much smarter than us, then they observe us like we do, like dogs
Yeah.
or pets. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, look at
Yeah.
that. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They're going to.
Or
They're
like-
so
And then
cute
they,
when
like-
do their little chomps.
I think they throw some weird shit in. Like Donald Trump is clearly some little kid with our existence in the garage. Like, let's see what happens if we make this fucking idiot in charge.
I also think that like sometimes people are just bad people.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like not always is everybody bad. Someone else's fault. I
It's
think
not always
sometimes people are-
aliens,
I think
No.
sometimes people are just bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
but aliens would explain a lot with everything. Well, that was
Aliens
very
can
good.
explain a lot.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing that.
You're very
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you.
Now you know.
Now I
I'm
know
glad
about
that
the
it's
Flatwoods
still
Monster.
daylight out here.
Yeah, if you Google this guy,
Yeah, you gotta check out the drawing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
it's scary. Like I saw that drawing and I shit my pants and cried for an hour. And Henry said it's in video games. It's in Fallout 76 or something. But that brings us to I don't think it's a coincidence that 4 days later, on September 16th, we have our first birthday. Cue the music.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
And yes, we have in Schenectady, New York, the son of Annette and Philip Andre Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
The father was of Irish descent and the mother had Scottish ancestry. He was raised Catholic and still practices his faith. His father left the family when Mickey was young. After his parents divorced, his mother married Eugene Addis, a Miami Beach police officer with 5 sons, and he moved Mickey Rourke, his younger brother Joey, and sister Patricia to South Florida. There, he graduated from Miami Beach Senior High School in 1971. Miami Beach Senior High School, home of the High Tides. Their colors are silver and
Stop.
red.
Nobody cares.
Scarlet. Other notable alumni that
No.
went to the same school
No.
as Mickey Rourke. You'll never get this. This is amazing, and now you're going to know this knowledge, and you'll never be able to forget it. Mickey Rourke went to the same high school as Barbara Walters, Ellen Barkin, Andy Garcia, and Luther Campbell
At the same time?
from Two Live Crew. Only Luther.
Probably around the same time as Andy Garcia.
Yeah, he and Andy Garcia were
How
like
old is Andy Garcia?
the same time. And
Really?
Ellen Barkin
And
was around
Ellen
that same
Barkin,
time.
yeah.
And Luther Campbell was close to that same time. Barbara Walters was a
Walters.
little bit ahead of time.
She had graduated already.
But she probably babysat Mickey Rourke.
Probably.
Probably not.
How old is Mickey Rourke?
Mickey Rourke is probably mid-60s.
Oh.
He graduated
I
in
think
70.
Mickey Rourke is younger than I think he is.
Mickey Rourke is one of those
Oh,
people
well, he was
that-
born in 1950. Okay, yeah.
He
duh.
graduated in
Um,
71. So
Okay,
Yeah.
then that makes, yes. That makes him younger than I think he is.
Yeah, and I think maybe
He's lived a couple days twice.
He's like my
Exactly.
mom's age.
he looks rough.
He's
had a-
not always.
He's had a weird few years.
worn a sunblock.
Yeah.
No.
That's fine.
Yeah. He
That's why
um
Faces your
Remember every
future.
time.
he
Faces your
filmed-
future, invest in a good moisturizer.
he filmed an independent film in Charlotte a few years ago, and they did one of the scenes in where I work in the theater. They needed a bathroom, so they used our theater's bathroom. And there's
I thought you were going to say they used your home bath. You opened your home bathroom to make
No,
Mickey
no.
Rourke.
the
He's laying
theater.
on the
never-
floor.
I would
the
never
theater we
do
work
that.
in. And so we had to get it all set up for Mickey Rourke, and they had to like change the bathroom, like they built like a door before and everything. But I took pictures of the set inside before. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, it was a set. It was to film in the bathroom.
It was the film in the bathroom, yeah.
Oh,
It was a
I
scene.
thought it was Mickey Rourke was nearby and
He
needed to use the bathroom.
No. They wanted to film a scene.
And before he could do it, before he could use this bathroom,
no, you look at the film.
Came in
Ashby.
and they did like some set dressing so that Mickey Rourke would feel comfortable.
No, well, they did do that. So
they
that's
did that
the
for
thing.
Diana Ross, though.
No, but for Mickey Rourke, they were going to film this scene in this bathroom. And if you look at the movie Ashby, is the name of it, filmed in Charlotte, there's a bathroom scene where there's a guy at the urinal and he's like got a gun, and he's in the stall, and he's like watching the guy come in and piss. And I don't think anything ever happened, but it's just that scene. That's in the bathroom of the Belk Theater in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
And we had
Did he have...
What?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just
going
saying.
to ask him...
Jesus.
What? No, you go.
I was going to ask if Mickey Rourke had little dogs with him.
I think he had his little dog. So they said that we need like, they said, this is going to sound weird, but can you get us for tomorrow morning? We need 10 chairs that are all different sizes and styles and soft and whatever, because we never know what kind of chair he's going to want to sit in. They need to be in a circle, and we need a rope. We need a pipe and drape off that circle, and we need a radio, like a boom box with like 20 different types of music, because we don't know what kind of music he's going to want to listen to get in character. And he's going to want to sit in a chair, but we have to section that all off for him to get in character and things. And so it's kind of
I love that.
Mickey Rourke thing.
And now a word from an American Timeline sponsor.
Paranormal horror author Eve S. Evans introduces a brand new spine-chilling release. Supernatural 911 Calls, available on Amazon today. First responders with any real time on the job believe in ghosts. They've experienced events they can't otherwise explain. Same with other professions that deal with injuries, accidents, or death. Police officers, firemen, 911 operators, they've seen the worst that people can do to one another, and they've all had brushes with the unexplained. Don't believe in ghosts? This book might change your mind and steal any hope of sleep. These stories are unexplainable, true accounts from first responders, police officers, firemen, and 911 operators, told from the perspective of everyday people. Every single tale between these covers is 100% true. Think you can explain them? We dare you to try.
But that brings us to September 19th, 1952, when The Adventures of Superman started, starring George Reeves.
Yep.
And did you know that the actor who played Superman, George Reeves, was cautious about his young fans after a boy pulled a pistol on him to test Superman's invulnerability?
Oh, no.
Yes. But Reeves convinced the boy to give him the gun by telling him that someone else could be hurt when the bullets bounced off.
Well, and then if you know much about George Reeves...
Didn't he kill himself or something?
I don't know anything about George Reeves, and I have a question.
He was
It's
nude
probably
when he
very
committed
stupid.
suicide.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Is the relationship between George Reeves and Christopher Reeve, is that just a coincidence?
It's
Yes.
a coincidence, and it's probably the reason that people add an S to Christopher Reeve,
You're
apostrophe
right.
S, his last name.
I had that same question. And that actually is a very commonly asked question.
Now, I've never seen any of the Superman movies or the TV show, nor will I.
Whoa!
But,
Whoa!
well, what is there to say? Superman, he's from the other planet.
Yep,
He comes
pretty
to
much.
this planet.
Yep.
He's super.
Yeah.
He's a man. We
He's
get it.
super.
He's a reporter. He changes in the phone booth. I know what you're going to say. It's just like stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know
But
what?
George Reeves is an interesting story. The story is that he committed suicide, but it seems more like he was murdered and he was shot.
Ooh.
And there's a movie about it called Hollywoodland.
Really?
It's an okay movie, but it's a really good
I've
story.
Heard of that movie. That was somewhat recently, right? That was within the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Ben Affleck plays George Reeves.
Really?
Wow, Ben Affleck is just like always in the Superman orbit.
Batman,
Batman,
Daredevil.
Superman.
What's the movie called, Brian?
It's called Hollywoodland.
Did you
Yeah,
see
who
it?
directed that?
I don't know.
That-
I did
wasn't
see
that
it.
like
I
a
think that
wasn't that
sounds
like a
familiar.
director showcase thing? Wasn't that like someone we know?
Oh, maybe
Not like not personally,
but like
no.
a known director, probably.
But if there are any directors who we know, would love to chat
Would love
about
to collab.
opportunities. Love to
Collab.
DM. Let's slide into
We
the
love the
DM for
collab.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
Yeah, that's where I learned the Hollywood sign used to say Hollywood Land.
That's where you learned that?
Yeah.
It did?
Oh, I learned that that's like
I
that
didn't
was
know
like
that.
the
I'm learning that
first-
right now.
Yeah.
that was like a first like literal encyclopedia thing for me. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like in like
Hollywood
the
sign.
library at school. I was like, what's something I can look up in an encyclopedia? And I was like, I know.
What were you wearing?
Hollywood.
Or who were you wearing?
As a child,
Yeah.
probably a Catholic
animals.
school uniform.
That's
Yeah.
what you were.
I ordered from a book.
So this is when the role of Superman started. It was a new series called Adventures of Superman, and he was initially reluctant to take the role because, like many actors of his time, they considered television unimportant and believed few would see his work.
Yeah.
The half-hour films were shot on tight schedules. At least 2 shows were made every 6 days. And according to the DVD sets and commentary, they would film multiple scripts simultaneously to take advantage of the standing sets. So, like, all the office scenes for every episode would be shot at once. And all the apartment scenes would be shot at once. So it's, like, all way non-consecutive. But I did look up his... Because there's a thing about Superman, whoever plays Superman, it's a
Bad luck.
curse.
Yeah.
And you get murdered or whatever. And his whole thing was that there was a party at his house, and he came downstairs to yell and be like, "Hey, quiet down, I'm trying to sleep." And somehow they convinced him, they're like, "Hey, have a drink, relax." And he had a drink with everybody after he yelled at them for being loud, like 2, 3 in the morning. And then it was like his wife or his girlfriend or whoever it was, some friends. And then he goes back upstairs and they hear a gunshot, and he's naked.
Jeez.
On the side of the, on the floor, like he'd fall off the bed, like he shot himself in the bed. But like Ryan said, maybe.
Yeah.
Does Ben Affleck play him in that
Yes.
film?
Yeah.
Are you a big Ben Affleck fan?
Yeah, you a big Ben Affleck boy?
No, I don't think so, but I do sort of root for him. I feel like that he
Why?
I don't know. I feel like he's not a bad person. He just has like a lot of weird like arcs to his like public life.
I mean, I
Where it's
like
like,
that he
oh,
likes what he
just-
likes.
yeah, and
I
just
like that he's into Duncan and
let him
bad
have that giant
tattoos.
tattoo. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? That's not hurting anybody.
Where's the tattoo?
He has,
He has
like
an enormous
his
phoenix.
entire
His
back
entire
is
like
a giant tattoo.
Oh my god.
Really?
from like butt to neck is just like a huge like a phoenix
And-
and a flame, and it's in too many colors, and it's bad.
Yeah, when he first got it, he was getting roasted online about it, and he was like, "It's for a movie. It's whatever. Leave me alone." And then he still has it, so it's just like the tattoo that he wanted, and it probably took like 5 sessions.
Oh, it probably
to
took
I
him like
bet.
Yeah.
and so it's like, let him have. Who cares? Like, let him
Right.
have-
You'll quit ripping on
And there's
him
all
for that.
these like pictures of him in like roller coasters and just like all play. He's looking sad in like 10 different locations on
Yeah.
the internet. He's
Smoking
just a
cigarettes,
meme.
looking
Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
there's that meme of him like smoking a cigarette. Just
I mean, it's rough.
Yeah.
who do we like better, him or Matt Damon?
Oh, neither.
Yeah.
I think I like him better than Matt Damon.
Same,
I would agree. I think
Okay.
I would lead toward Ben Affleck than Matt Damon.
Well, who's your
There's
favorite
an-
Batman?
There's an improv team here called Matt Damon, and it's all women of color.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Their concept is every week they have a white guest
Yeah.
player who can only speak when spoken to,
I love
Holy
that.
shit!
and
What?
is the
You gotta bring
the
that.
best.
I'm bringing
they
them
are
to
the
Charlotte.
best show.
They're
I
truly
am
one of the best
bringing them
shows.
to Charlotte tomorrow.
They're
Please
so good.
connect me.
They're great.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We did book Comedy Dance Chicago. Have you heard of those
I don't
guys?
know.
I don't
No.
know what I don't know them.
Are
I saw them
They
when
do
I was in
comedy
town.
dancing.
funny dances?
Yeah, they do hilarious dances. Like they are funny. They're very funny.
Huh.
We booked
Well,
them, and
good for them.
they're selling better than Colin Mockery
All
right
right, let's
now.
get back to
anyway. That's
Wow.
We're getting
enough.
off
So
on a
yeah.
tangent.
So that same day that George Reeves premiered in Superman, not when he killed himself, but when he premiered, Charlie Chaplin was banned from the USA.
Oh, for
Charlie Chaplin.
like communism?
Yeah, for being a communist. Yeah. So I did a lot of digging on this Charlie Chaplin thing because I didn't know any of this happened. So a little quick backstory of Charlie Chaplin. In the mid-40s, Charlie Chaplin was involved in a series of trials that occupied most of his time and significantly affected his public image. The troubles stemmed from an affair with an aspiring actress named Joan Barry. You guys ever heard of this story?
No.
Joan Barry?
The Hollywood blacklist is so dense to me that I can't begin to untangle
so
it.
Charlie Chaplin's is a little different. Like, part of it is the communism thing. Like, he did speak out against all of the communist, like, blacklist stuff. But he also was kind of a lech. Like, and this kind of was his, like, the FBI wanted to get him because of his his communism stance and everything. But when it wasn't communism, basically he just wanted poor people to have a chance.
Yeah.
But, so they used this whole thing. So he had this affair with an aspiring actress named Joan Barry, with whom he was involved intermittently in 1942 and 43. And she was this woman who was not a typical actress. She had like a unique look. He thought, let's give her a chance. Let's put her in movies. Let's make her this, make her that. She was very young, but she was fucking crazy. But maybe because of him, who knows. But she displayed obsessive behavior and was twice arrested after they separated, reappearing the following year after 1941-42 involved with her, and announced that she was pregnant with Chaplin's child. Chaplin denied the claim, and Barry filed a paternity suit against him, which he lost, and his daughter Carol Ann was born in October 1943.
But we don't think it's his real daughter?
Well, he denied. Long story short, he denied it. He lost the case and had to support her until she was 21. She's since changed her name and wants nothing to do with Charlie Chaplin and everything. But his ex-wife, before this lady, says that he paid off people to lie and say the tests are negative. So the maternity tests were inconclusive because of all this. But his ex-wife, who also has something to gain, so we don't really know. But she said, he paid off all these people to say it wasn't his. I think it was his based on some of his other behavior. But here's the sad thing about this Joan Barry. Time Magazine noted that she ended up being admitted to Patton State Hospital after she was found walking the streets barefoot, carrying a pair of baby sandals and a child's ring, murmuring, "This is magic." Like, murmuring that to herself. Like, that's like such a horrible, sad vision.
Let's get her a glass of water.
Yeah, let's start there.
So media coverage of this paternity suit was influenced by the FBI, who was trying to get him for communism and stuff. And they would feed all this right to a gossip columnist named Hedda Hopper. And so Charlie Chaplin, he took a big hit, and people stopped liking him, and the director of FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, who had long been suspicious of Chaplin's political leanings, used this to generate negative publicity about him, and championed the smear campaign.
And I think they did that a lot back then.
Oh, they did, and they just want to ruin their careers. They named him in 4 indictments related to the Barry case. The most serious of this was an alleged violation of the Mann Act, M-A-N-N, which prohibits the transportation of women across state boundaries for sexual purposes.
That's what Matt Gates was
the Matt Gates thing. So, but this, a historian named Otto Friedrich said this is absurd and it's an ancient statute. But if he was found guilty, this was the only one that's going to stick, it sounds like. He was going to face 23 years in jail. But he was acquitted a couple weeks later. But the damage is done. His name is run through the mud. And Newsweek called it the biggest public relations scandal since the Fatty Arbuckle murder trial in 1921. And then the controversy regarding Charlie Chaplin increased when 2 weeks after the paternity suit was filed, it was announced that he had married his newest protege. Now he's 50. He's in his 50s. He was 54 years old. And he married an 18-year-old named Una O'Neill, the daughter of American playwright Eugene O'Neill.
That's weird.
It's weird. A 54-year-old with an 18, but she was just like head over heels, like he's the greatest thing. And in his autobiography, he described meeting her as the happiest event of his life. It was just as creepy to me. And he found his perfect love. But they remained married until Chaplan's death, and they had 8 children over 18 years.
Oh, boy.
8 children.
That's too many.
Yeah. And one of his granddaughters to this day is
I wonder how old he was when he had his youngest kid.
he was in his 70s.
It's like Tony
That's so
Randall.
fast in a way.
Yeah, so you could still...
It's hard for me.
Yeah, it gives you hope.
It's hard for me to picture Charlie Chaplin. I think of him almost as like a cartoon, like an animation character or something, and not as an actor.
Well,
there's sometime later, I don't know what time Charlie Chaplin died. Chris has it pulled up.
Died in 1977.
So sometime in the 70s, there's a clip that they show on the Oscars sometime. Once in a while, they'll show on the Oscars where he came back to the Oscars.
Yeah, that
and
was
like
in 72.
gave an award or stood up in the audience or something.
It was a Lifetime Achievement Award, and that's when he came back to the United States. He didn't come back to the U.S. until then, from the 52.
But everybody like stands up and cheers and stuff, and he's like this old guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's so wild that that's a person who got older.
And he
His youngest.
Yeah.
It's like when you see like Shirley Temple as an older lady, and it's like, oh, she's not trapped in a movie.
No.
They're different people. Like, that's the weird thing about aging is we're completely different people. Like,
but especially like silent film stars.
Yeah.
Like I only picture. I know there's a movie about him too, and I don't think I've ever seen that. But the idea of him like talking.
You're right.
Yeah, he could speak.
He could speak.
Yeah.
He moved in real time. He was in color.
Charlie Chaplin's youngest son, Christopher, was born in 1962. So Charlie Chaplin was 73 when he was born. And he is still very much alive. He's obviously only 58. So
and he's got like weird trap albums, like electronic music, I think.
Yes, he is a focused career as a composer and has collaborated with German experimental, ambient, and electronic musicians, among others.
I bet that's...
Well, long story short, he had done another movie around this time, Monsieur Vernou, which criticized capitalism, which people got really pissed about and boycotted him. And then he made one about his own life, which, he was born in England, London, or whatever. So he went to London to kind of premiere it, and that's when they were like, okay, we're not letting him back. And he said he denied being a communist and called himself a peacemonger. And he said the government's efforts to suppress the ideology was an unacceptable infringement of civil liberties.
Right.
And he was unwilling to be quiet about the issue. He openly protested against the trials of the Communist Party members and the activities of the House Un-American Activities Committee. When he arrived in Southampton on the 23rd of September, to a rapturous greeting from fans and well-wishers, and later that day gave a press conference in London where he resolutely stated that he was not a communist, but someone who wants nothing more for humanity than a roof over every man's head, which I think is great. It's a great thing. So, and then when he left, he said, "I don't want to go back to shitty America anyway. They're hateful." So he didn't come back until the 70s, like you said, when he accepted that the Academy Awards honored him in 72. And
who does he look like?
You can watch it on YouTube. Yeah, so you can watch him.
We have a picture of it up right in front of us, and he looks so much like someone, but I can't put my finger on
He's like
who.
a portly, white-haired guy, like Tip O'Neill or something.
He looks a little. He has a little Al Gore in him, maybe.
Yeah, he needs the mustache, honestly.
Yeah, he does need the mustache, but I think he could maybe have evolved the style.
He's got a bowler hat in front of him.
Yeah, he drops it. During the speech. You can barely get it. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. And then September 23rd, Richard Nixon gave Chequers' speech, and that's the whole thing where he denied. Richard Nixon was running for vice president, and he was accused of corruption and accepting bribes and money. And his whole speech was basically to the American people, and you can watch this on YouTube too. But he basically says, the only bribe I ever received I'm going to keep, and that was Checkers, our dog. Somebody gave us a dog and keep it. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move past that. We're going to get to September 24th, where you guys have something to share with us about chicken.
We sure do.
So
You guys got a chicken story.
Chicken was invented. The chicken was discovered.
Chicken was
In 1952.
finally discovered in 1952.
And instantly we started frying
a
it.
huge hit.
So we're telling you the story of KFC, which at that time, of course, was called Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love it if you would have said something completely different. KFC, which at that time, of course, was called Caitlin's Friend Club.
There you go.
So Colonel Harlan David Sanders is the person who founded and started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He, I will say up front, not in the military. No military experience.
No colonel, not a real colonel.
No,
Not
he's
a real colonel at all.
Recently on the Music Video podcast, we talked about honorifics, where you just decide that Aretha Franklin is the queen of soul.
Yeah, the
she's
Empress
not, like,
of Soul, the
a
Queen of
queen.
Soul, the Queen of Hip Hop Rap.
Yeah, he is
Queen of Christmas, Queen of Halloween.
the
Prince of
colonel of
Darkness.
just like
Yeah.
as just a way of saying that he's like, hey, this is our
He's just good at frying chicken.
frying chicken.
And that's fine.
Although Prince
should
Marky
give-
D is the Prince of Rap. Or Fat-
I don't disagree. I do think we should give more honorifics for fast food achievements.
We should, yeah.
Yes,
But also,
I
we
agree.
don't know a lot of those people. There's like a character. He was his
Yeah.
own mascot.
That's true. There's no reason that whoever invented the cheesy gordita crunch shouldn't have some kind of
I love that cheesy
a-
gordita
a-
crunch.
a serfdom,
Yeah.
some kind of like a plot of land, a crown of some kind,
I
something.
had no
Eventually
idea
the-
that Colonel was a real guy. I didn't know he was real.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a fully real guy.
Yeah.
Much like Charlie Chaplin, you can see photos of him interacting with the outside world.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's,
we talked about him
it's
on What's
jarring.
My Line or whatever.
Yeah,
No,
he eventually the state of Kentucky did bestow upon him the title of colonel, which was
That's
They were like,
crazy.
all right,
So funny.
you can
Yeah.
have it here.
but aren't you about to tell me that it didn't start in Kentucky? Or are you not?
I
I
was
wrong?
focused on 1952.
I'm sorry.
But we have his Wikipedia open.
We
can tell
do.
you
I can
where
tell
he was
you.
born.
It was
He-
No,
he
no,
was
not
born and
where
raised
he
in
was born,
Indiana.
but
He was
the food
born-
restaurant.
born and raised in Indiana, in Henryville, Indiana, which is near Louisville. Louisville.
That's pronounced Louisville.
Someone from Kentucky is going to yell at me for
Yeah,
pronouncing my syllables.
The first restaurant was in Utah, I believe.
Yes, the
That's
first
the thing
first
that-
KFC restaurant was in Salt Lake City, Utah.
But that's what doesn't compute with me. Like, why would
Well-
the first one be in Kentucky?
Because it's how, like in France, they call French fries fries, and so in Utah, you had to add the Kentucky so that we knew it was in Kentucky. Otherwise, it's just fried chicken.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, so they just call it FC in Kentucky.
Yeah, and it's,
Exactly.
It's KFC. If he kept it in Utah, it would be UTI, and that was already taken.
I have.
Already done.
And coincidentally,
that.
I have a UTI right now.
A few notable things about it is that he invented the pressure fryer, which is that's
I
of
think it's
note.
what it sounds like.
It's
like
patented,
you just
yeah,
it's
it's
a
like
pressure cooker
intense
and
frying.
a fryer.
Yeah.
Pressure cooker
Filled with
and
oil instead of water.
filled with oil. instead
That
of
seems
water.
safe.
Yeah,
Seems
he
very safe.
became
Yeah.
obsessed with franchising,
Yeah.
which is not, when other
everybody
people,
in the 50s loved franchise.
Yeah.
Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
all
Exactly.
loved. They were like,
I thought it was interesting on Wikipedia. It says that KFC is the second biggest franchise to McDonald's.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And I was
Really?
thinking, as long as you don't say you're number one, as long as you say who is number one, anybody can say they're number two. I
That's
bet if we looked
That's
up
probably
Burger
right.
King, they'd probably say they're number two.
Yeah.
What about
And
Arby's?
I'm not going to.
I don't
Tell 'em they're not.
Look at that.
Oh, this is Frankie on the camera.
Frankie on camera.
So, so he, in the Great Depression, started selling fried chicken, and then he patented his pressure fryer in South Salt Lake City in Utah in 1952, started franchising, and then it's taking off. In the 60s, he sold the franchise because it was getting so overwhelming. He sold it for the equivalent today of $16 million, which
Whoa.
is such a bummer.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not that much.
I bet a
16
KFC.
million?
For KFC, you know
That's
how
a
many
lot of money.
billion of dollars that makes?
But
No.
for
I
the
don't.
totality of
For
KFC.
today, like that's. I bet you can't do a KFC Super Bowl commercial for $16 million.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say how
Like-
much is one KFC
Franchise.
cost to
I don't
franchise?
think of it as
Yeah.
that great. I think of it as, a lot of them share their KFC / Taco Bell. Like, they're not even good enough.
Yeah, well, was
I
the-
think he,
so was
I
the-
think he could have gotten 3 times that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was that for the equivalent of $16 million?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sold it for the equivalent. He
Yikes.
didn't sell
Yeah,
it for
that's
$16
rough.
million in the 60s.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
What is
Yeah.
the equivalent of $16 million next?
It
Yeah,
was
what-
around $2 million.
Oh, $2 million.
So you're
is
not
a lot
even, I
in
mean-
1992.
Yeah,
Well, it was the equivalent of $16 million.
It's almost as if it was close to 16
right. Some notable
million. You
things.
guys
I call
love
these.
chicken.
I do love chicken.
Is there
I
big
love a chicken
chicken?
sandwich. A crispy,
I do.
a crispy
you
chicken
really
sandwich.
love a crispy chicken sandwich.
It's
I
so
like
good.
anywhere.
And as for me, I like a grilled chicken sandwich.
I like a
Oh,
crispy
you
chicken
But we
sandwich.
make it work.
If
Yeah.
you can put enough sauce on it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So some fun and not fun facts about the Colonel.
Ooh, give me some not fun ones.
yeah,
I'm
what
just gonna
not
throw these guys
fun?
at you.
Is he a rapist?
So- In the 30s, he's not. I will say up front that he's not.
yes, Colonel
Um,
Sanders never raped anybody. Yes.
You know what? That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
All
We
I
don't know.
all I can say is yes or I don't know, and
And-
about him I will say I don't know.
Yeah.
But that Ray Kroc, he raped everybody, probably.
In the 30s, he was serving chicken out of a Shell station,
What?
and he got involved in a shootout
What?
with a man named Matt Stewart, who was a
What?
competitor who was also selling food out of a different, like what they would have called like a filling station, like a
That's
different like gas
A filling
station thing.
station. Oh my god.
Got into a shootout, and Matt Stewart shot and killed one of the other Shell employees at this Kentucky Fried Chicken stand
What?
at the gas station.
And that other employee, Benjamin Franklin.
And because Matt Stewart killed one of the employees at the Shell station, it's just like the shootout is over. That guy went to prison for murder, and now there's less competition.
Yes.
And from then on, his popularity was like locked in, and it was like, this is
Boom.
the Colonel. He's such a character.
That's
He's a
crazy.
Even though he was
badass.
in a shootout,
Yeah, he was
like he should
fulfilled.
also have gone to prison.
Yeah.
I guess.
So he sold the company in the 60s, but continued to be the mascot and the face of it, and played the Colonel and made public appearances
Yeah.
throughout the 60s and 70s. And one of the things he was notorious for is he would go to a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and if the food was bad, he would like throw his plates on the floor and issue statements and like public insults about like the gravy at this one tastes like wallpaper paste.
Oh my god.
I like that.
And so
I
people
like
would
that a
like
lot.
there were like lawsuits and stuff, and he would always win because he's like, I am allowed to say I don't like that restaurant,
Yeah.
which is totally true. Like
That is
he's
so
allowed
funny.
to like
My respect level
flip
for
his
this guy.
table or like push his
Yeah.
plates off onto the ground.
Yeah,
like a
absolutely is.
baby.
That's so funny.
It does also say that he was friends with Billy Graham and Jerry Falwell.
Well, he's from Kentucky
Whoa.
and he dresses in a
Whoa.
white suit. So I would not like if that's the worst that we know about him.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
it's
probably
actually
a member of the Klan at some point.
he had his
There's
you know
some
his
tie.
costume.
There has to be some
Yeah.
somewhere in that family tree. I don't listen. If you're the family of Harlan Sanders,
we love your
love your
chicken.
product, and
I think the
I don't
gravy is
I don't
good.
know anything. I'm making a lot of assumptions, and so don't sue me because I
Yeah.
don't have any money to offer you anyway.
That's right.
But
My only
in
thing is I have a little
franchising,
problem with the restaurant on 4th Avenue here in Charlotte. Like, those guys are half-assing a little bit.
I don't know of the last time I've been to a KFC.
I haven't. I would, but I haven't.
You've never
in-
been to one?
I haven't in a long time.
I was going to say I don't know. I don't know the last time I went to
I would
one.
never eat fast food.
No, you wouldn't
Yeah.
eat fast food in
I-
Chicago.
I do live in Chicago and I eat fast food as much as I can.
Oh,
When I
Lord.
go to KFC, though, I take my own bucket because I care about the earth.
That's right.
Yeah.
God damn it.
You ever been to
fun thing.
KFC / Taco Bell?
Yes, but I think
probably.
only to order Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Because I think it's been like in a situation like at a mall,
Yeah.
at a
Truck stop.
food court,
I'm
at a
just
truck
mad that
stop.
they don't combine the menus. Like, I can't get like a chalupa
Right.
with a KFC.
A side of mashed potatoes.
Well, yeah, you can if you ask. You can order. You could definitely get a side. I thought you were going to like. I can't get a taco that's inside of a biscuit.
No, that's it. That's what I want. I want the mashed potatoes inside the chalupa with gravy on it.
Well, you can DIY. Get one of those sporks and go to town.
DIY.
So Chris has some information about the dangers of franchising.
I do. I have some
information
about the dangers of, and that is that you never know who you're going to franchise to. And a famous KFC owner-operator was none other than John Wayne Gacy. Yes. Established murderer.
This can't be true.
It is
Why
true.
am I just hearing about this?
You're just hearing about it for the first time right now. This is the first time that this has been brought up.
No, I did an entire episode, and I told you at that time, but you drink too much.
No, you were topless during that episode, so I couldn't pay attention.
That's not true.
I was topless.
You were drunk.
One of us was topless.
All right.
I was drinking.
So I know about this because the KFCs that John Wayne Gacy managed were in Waterloo, Iowa, which is where my father and my entire extended family are from and where I grew up.
No.
Oh my gosh.
And so it is lore in KFC or in Waterloo that there are KFCs that were once managed by John Wayne Gacy. I don't know if they're still there or not, but they were.
You may have eaten a John Wayne Gacy sandwich.
I wasn't alive when John Wayne Gacy was managing these KFCs, but I have many family members who likely ate a John Wayne Gacy sandwich. Like I would say the probability is high.
Wow.
He got married and his wife's parents or something bought like a KFC for them as a wedding present, and it was in Waterloo, and then they had to move there, and then he like ran all these KFCs. That's the story. That's the tie-in with John Wayne Gacy. He made the equivalent of $125,000 managing a KFC.
Wow.
John Wayne Gacy.
Which is
pretty nice.
seems like a nice gig to just like receive as a wedding gift.
Now, do you think the managing of the KFCs had anything to do with him going insane?
I think it's where he met.
I think he met a lot of people, and also
made a lot of contacts.
I am very deeply familiar with the John Wayne Gacy Wikipedia page because I read it often. I can't explain why, but I do.
You're a big murder guy.
I read on, so when I'm on an airplane and I'm bored and you have like really slow airplane Wi-Fi, one thing you can do is read as much Wikipedia as you can and just try and follow a rabbit hole. And somehow I always end up on a serial killer or a tragedy of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always something out there to learn.
That's right.
It sounds like in Waterloo he was involved with the JCs.
Yeah, Amy years too.
He was in Chicago. He was in the JCs.
Chicago JCs.
I think it might be both. It might be both places.
Both, yeah.
Which my family in Waterloo was never a JC. I don't, to my knowledge, they were a Knights of Columbus and a Moose Lodge.
Moose Lodge. My
Order
grandpa
of
was a
Moose.
Moose Lodge, and you are a Chicago JC.
I was a Chicago
You're
JC.
exactly like John Mason.
The Waterloo JCs at that time sound like it was a real fucking club. Like they were. Can I cuss on this?
Yeah, you can fucking say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, good. They are really sexually liberated. I'll say based off of what it says. Yeah, they were into. On Wikipedia, it lists it as wife swapping, prostitution, pornography, and drug use. So, maybe there was some parties, there were some,
mixers.
Yeah, some mixers.
He really wants some chicken.
Yeah, and it says that Gacy, opened where does it say this? He opened a, quote, club in his basement where his employees could drink alcohol and play pool.
Wow. Yeah.
And presumably eat chicken.
I love chicken.
And hopefully
live.
Hopefully leave. Hopefully they were able to leave.
I will say that he didn't commit any murders in Waterloo.
No,
he didn't start murdering until he left Waterloo. That was all Chicago, baby.
It was Chicago.
We brought that out of him.
I love chicken, but I'm a little concerned on how much. All right. Are you?
Just in the world?
Well, just think about I could go right now and get a chicken sandwich from 50 places and come right back home.
That's true.
And I'm just here in, the amount of chickens there must be to be able to...
Let's not go in this detail because it's depressing.
It is depressing. Like there must be just so many chickens murdered.
Ryan, do you have anything else about the franchising and explosion of KFC, or just any personal thoughts about KFC? Have you had a Double Down?
I have never had a Double Down. I've never had a Famous Bowl.
Oh, I love a Famous Bowl. Those are great.
Those ones
just
are like
that
5,000 calories.
Yeah, it's a bowl of mashed potatoes that they just kind of stuff some
like
chicken nuggets and some gravy and some corn into, and they just kind of stir it up and they call it food.
Yeah.
And they're just like, eat this and shut up. And then I do, and it's good.
Nice.
It's good. It's great. I would prefer all of my food served to me that way.
Now they are known as KFC. It's for two reasons. One, because they're internationally so big and Kentucky doesn't make sense everywhere.
Sure.
Right.
They're really big in Asia, right? Like,
Also, yeah.
like
Yeah.
KFC's their
Huge.
biggest market is in Asia, I think.
And also because in the sort of like low fat, low sugar, whatever 90s, fried was
was a
unappealing.
bad word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're KFC. The Colonel is a big character again. With
How
like,
does
Jason
Colonel
Al-
Sanders' family feel? Yeah, I'll let you finish that sentence because I'm going to ask a question about it.
I think some people think it's disrespectful that now we have like parodies of the Colonel.
Yeah, because he's a real person.
Yeah.
It's not like having a parody of
And like Reba McEntire plays the Colonel.
Yeah,
and Jason
it's-
Alexander. And Daryl Hammond did it for a long time.
Yeah,
when we had who I'm trying to think of like another character that we've done that with where it's
Where it's a person and not
yeah,
like
where it's
Ronald McDonald or whatever.
yeah, like Ronald McDonald's a great example. Like if we had a bunch of Ronald McDonalds, if Reba McEntire was a Ronald McDonald, if Simone Biles was a Ronald McDonald,
Yeah.
if
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, Billy Joe Armstrong was a Ronald
I
McDonald.
think
what
that's
have
why.
you?
That's why I didn't know he was real because
Yeah.
like I thought he was.
But that's like if a bunch of people dressed up as you, Ryan Burkett, and we're just like,
Oh, some of them would hurt my feelings.
yeah. But I guess we've done that before. Like people do that with Madonna all the time.
People do that with like Abe Lincoln.
yeah,
Sure.
they do that. With
Abe Lincoln, famously, his family is still around and very
Well,
litigious.
there's all the on Halloween. There's all the sexy Abe Lincoln costumes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the same.
Yeah.
Well-
And then the other thing, I'm trying to find the 11 herbs and spices for the original recipe because it's
Oh, is it
top secret.
Yeah.
And I
don't-
found what is meant to be the original list.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it includes dry mustard.
Mm-hmm.
And because mustard is a common allergen, you have to list it if it's one of your ingredients.
Oh.
And now it's being disputed, like, well, now that the law makes them say ingredients and they haven't said dry mustard,
Yeah.
it must not be one of them. Because otherwise you can say other spices or natural flavors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm still hunting for that.
Okay, so I don't know any of them.
Well,
Can I guess and see if I can get them?
So this is a list that includes dry mustard. I'll give you that as a gimme. If anybody wants to shout out your favorite,
Okay, can I ask a clarifying parameter question?
Uh-huh.
Are these 11 or is this the totality of the breading that's on a chicken, or is this just the things that
spices,
we're
the seasoning.
adding to the breading? So like
Okay.
is flour one of them?
So flour and then apparently powdered eggs and powdered milk are in the flour.
and
then
those don't count as the 11.
they don't count. And then the flour is seasoned with these other things.
Okay, that was my question.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification.
I
Probably
could,
some garlic, maybe.
there's some thyme.
We do have
rosemary.
thyme.
Is there thyme?
No rosemary.
Salt.
Thyme.
Salt.
You said thyme.
Pepper.
In your face, there was thyme. You said there wouldn't be thyme.
There is black pepper and white pepper.
Okay.
What's white?
And Amy said garlic. There's garlic salt.
Is there
so that's
onion
fine.
powder?
Yeah. onion
There is not onion powder.
Is
Is there
any
something
fecal
weird like cinnamon?
Yes, there is something weird.
Sugar.
The weird one is ginger.
powder. Oh,
Ginger.
Ginger.
Well,
That's
you-
why it's
you-
settled
I was
so
gonna-
good. My tummy.
Oh, sorry.
I was
Sugar?
gonna guess it.
Any what?
Sugar.
Yeah, is there any sugar?
Um,
Give
No.
me some sugar, baby.
And there's not mustard because we already said that.
Well-
Is there any like is there like a pepper, like a bell pepper?
Survey says.
No, there's black and I'm gonna run through them because I think you've named most.
All
of
right.
them.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get any more.
Ham.
Okay, so we have that flour concoction. Then we have salt, thyme, basil, oregano, celery salt,
Oh, in your face.
black pepper, dry mustard, which is the outlier that's maybe not true, paprika, garlic salt, ginger, and white pepper.
Oh, paprika. I probably would have got to paprika if I would have thought about it.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of, like, if I was pulling some spices to be doing, like, a little rub, what would I put on it?
Yeah.
Rub.
Those all make sense.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I love.
And this is also just
paprika.
alleged, right? Like, this isn't.
Yeah,
This isn't.
This
It is still
alleged?
technically a secret.
This
Yep.
isn't real.
Well,
It has
there's
its own
secret recipes.
Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
The 11 Herbs and Spices has its own Wikipedia page.
I'm glad that you brought up that mustard thing because I wondered how that works now that like people are allergic to things openly.
Yeah.
And like how you have to like label things that people would be allergic to.
You can't have
So
chicken
like how
stuff.
much of a secret can you keep a recipe?
So is that
Oh, I'll go grab
Quaker on the Quaker Oats box? Is he real?
I think it is a real person, but I don't know.
Who'd win
Are
a
you gonna say
fight
this?
between him and Colonel Sanders?
All right, we gotta get.
And who'd you rather have
Oh.
sex with, the Quaker Oat?
All right, well, let's wind things
Yeah,
up.
I got one more thing.
You do.
Yeah, that's the story of KFC.
Good job,
That's the
guys.
story of KFC.
That's the whole story, and there's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
That's all we needed to know.
I love chicken.
That's for sure.
I want to eat so much chicken.
I know it makes me want chicken.
But it's not good, right? I should
Starving.
stop liking chicken? Or is it okay to eat chicken? Alright. On September 25th, 1952 is the last thing I had. It was a Thursday. And a little quinky dink that we talked about George Reeves starting the Superman, because on September 25th, on Thursday, Christopher Reeve was born in New
Oh,
York
cool.
City.
Oh.
He was the son
Oh.
of Barbara Pitney Lamb, a journalist, and Franklin Diarrhea Reeve, a teacher, novelist, poet, and scholar. Many of his ancestors had been in America since the early 17th century, some having been aboard the Mayflower. So Christopher Reeve's family came on the Mayflower. That's all you need to know.
Wow. I guess
That's all we need.
that makes a lot of sense because we're talking about 1952, which is obviously well before the Superman movies. So the Superman TV show was on first,
Right.
Which
Wow,
makes
he was
sense.
being born. Yeah,
Yeah.
and when tie it back into Colonel Sanders, one of Christopher Reeve's ancestors, his paternal grandfather, was Colonel Richard Henry Reeve, and he was the CEO of Prudential Financial. It was called
And also not a real colonel, just very good at
Probably
just very
not.
good at
Yeah,
banking.
probably not.
Yeah.
But that tells you, everybody who's rich makes it.
And that's
Doesn't
our
hurt.
time. That's our moral for today.
That's it.
Just get rich and move to Hollywood.
That's right.
It
In that order, though, not
Or
the other
as
one.
50 Cent said, "Get rich or die trying."
when you find out like who has money, sometimes it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
When you find out like, oh, and their parents
Yeah.
own the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
you're like,
right,
oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool, good for
So
them.
that's how they got where they were. Everybody rich. Everybody who's anywhere.
Well, being rich doesn't make all those things come true, but it means you don't need a backup. You can safely fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and you also have like the connections. To,
Yeah, and that you can maybe you have a car when you move to LA that works.
Yeah.
Well,
you have
yeah,
money
but-
for lessons.
Well, you
and
look at
for-
these rich people's children; they just get to fuck around and do whatever. Like Charlie Chaplin's son he's a house music
He
guy.
is making house music. I do think that. Listen, I think all careers are valid, but I think that people who are DJs for show
Yeah.
are not as valid.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that DJ is a legitimate career. I don't want to get any tweets from the DJs out there because we've
Right.
been through
We have
this.
a big DJ audience.
I think that DJs do work, but I think that some DJs don't do work.
Well said.
And
Yeah.
no one should be as mad about that as the real DJs. And that's what I'm going to say. That's what I want to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thought.
There was some big DJ playing at the concert hall I was near last night, and all the people in line to go in were wearing neon clothes, like leotards.
Oh, for like
Day
because
glow?
the light. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Like-
like raving, for rave purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was some
So you can find your friends at the end of the night.
I love that idea.
Richard
Yeah, why not?
Anoki or
All
whatever.
right.
Anyway,
All right.
anyway,
get out of here,
but that's
Trevor.
when stop hitting me.
I need to get your attention.
No, you don't. Yeah. So anyway, that's all the time we have. Thank you for being here, Ryan and Chris from the Music Video Podcast. Check them out.
Thank you.
Give them
Thank you so
give them
much.
an 8-star review. I'm not leaving it at 5. Give them 8 stars. And there's the thing I tell people to do with my podcast a lot of times. Like, if you're around your grandparents, they have an iPhone. They don't really know how to use it. Grab their iPhone at the next family function. Just grab it and look up Music Video Podcast. Give them 5 stars and subscribe.
Oh,
yeah,
I love
think
that.
I think that grandparents would love our podcast and this one.
Regardless, the grandparents don't even know what a podcast is. But you
it's just a new place to send a review from. I love that.
And they'll never know.
I am not encouraging a review scam. I am encouraging us to tell everyone in your family about this and our podcast.
Yes. And American Timelines by History for Jerks. And you can check out historyforjerks.com where we have the Nerd School podcast on there too.
Oh, that's a good one too.
That's also a good one. Also,
that's where Joe is watching movies.
So many podcasts. Go hop in your car, take a road trip, listen to
if you try
all
really
of the
hard,
podcasts.
you could possibly listen to every podcast.
You could drive to the original KFC in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
You know
and
what?
then to the Colonel Sanders Museum.
You're right.
In Kentucky.
Eat chicken.
And in between, listen to these pods.
Just throwing chicken bones out your sunroof.
Yeah,
toss
throw
those
the
chicken bones to the wind.
Brian's right. Throw chicken bones out your sunroof. There's nothing wrong with that.
Compostable, probably.
Yes.
I feel like birds want them.
Birds
birds
want them.
birds don't want
Birds
them.
don't want
Birds
them.
don't
That's
want them.
cannibalism.
Birds are terrified of those.
Oh,
That's
chickens
as
are
rude
birds.
as if you
Like
threw
a coyote or something wants it.
Yeah, do not.
It's probably a squirrel. Squirrels eat anything.
Squirrels eat anything. Feed the squirrels your chicken bones and listen to podcasts.
All right, good pie.
My name is Joe.
I'm Amy.
And that's Ryan and Chris.
Bye.
And we're all getting in the hot tub, so
You're ridiculous.
you gotta say. I waited for you to say
I
that.
said it already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's get in the hot tub.
It seems like everybody here only thinking of next year. They don't understand the price they'll have to pay just for tomorrow. See, I know it all, and the real world seems to shove down someone else's dreams, so they rest their heads on pillows that their fathers probably borrow from shops at the mall. Have you ever led your life this way? I don't wanna grow up, please don't make me throw up. I don't wanna grow up, please don't make me throw up. I don't wanna grow up, please don't make me throw up. I don't wanna grow up, please don't make me throw up. So while you're dreaming about me, pick me up a new subscription. I'm still listening to New Edition, man. And you should come out of your shell. Do you really know yourself? It's the kind of thing that
Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music.
You guys like hot tubs?
Who doesn't?
I think that I like when there is
Actually, I know a
one.
lot of people who don't like wine. I would love,
But
I
I-
would love to own a hot tub. I don't care what that says about me. I know that people who own hot tubs are unfairly looked down upon in this society, and that is wrong.
They are.
Hot
Yeah,
tubs
it's got like
are
a
relaxing.
It's got a white
They
trash
are.
it's got a waterbeds vibe.
They
It
are
does.
the
Water
best
bed.
part
It's a
of a
water bed.
pool.
You're a waterbed family.
I would love to have a waterbed.
No.
No, it hurt your back. I like mustard.
Sounds like float. It's just like floating on
Like
the ocean
I do like
all night
mustard.
long.
All right.
Spicy mustard.
I like mustard too.
I like
See?
honey
These are-
mustard.
Something common.
Welcome to our new mustard podcast, where we just name
Mustard
mustards.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
apologize.
thank you.
I apologize
It's-
for.
It's nice to be invited somewhere.
Yeah, it's nice to have plans.
It's nice to be remembered.